Well, hello everybody, Roger here, and welcome to my channel, Rogers Reads. So today I'm doing a book review of a book entitled The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. So this is the second novel written entirely in free verse that I read, with the first being A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. So I've really warmed up to this succinct type of format and would definitely read more of this type of novel. It's such a unique way to tell a story, and the more I'm exposed to it, the format of free verse like this, the more it resonates with me. And this is coming from someone who is not a fan of poetry. So while reading this, I felt as though I were reading an autobiography, but entirely in verse. So on to the story. So the book follows Xiomara Batista, a teenage Dominican girl who has a twin brother. Now it's interesting to note that her name, Xiomara, literally means the one who is ready for war. And this name fits her perfectly. Because of her mature and shapely body, Xiomara is constantly the target of sexual harassment from her peers at school, consisting of endless groping, objectification, and lewd comments, causing her to constantly defend herself with harsh words and her fists. She's not one who hesitates in doing battle when necessary. So in this way, there's a good amount of body shaming and body guilt in this story, not only from the boys at school, but also from her mother. She also has to defend her brother Xavier, a meek, shy boy who's also bullied at school. I love how Xiomara never refers to her brother by name, but only as twin, because she says that she's the only one who could call him that. Now, her mother. Her mother is ultra-religious to the point of being extreme, and from the story, it seems that her entire world revolves around her religion. There's no middle of the road with her. Everything is black or white and not to be questioned. Xiomara, however, questions her religion, but keeps her questioning to herself, fearing her mother's wrath. The manner in which her mother force-feeds Xiomara her religious beliefs definitely borders on abuse, and she uses her religion to emotionally harm Xiomara and her brother. Now, another secret that Xiomara has kept from her mother is her poetry. Notebook after notebook worth of it, in which she pours out all her frustrations, her hopes, her dreams, her doubts. It's through her poetry that she finds freedom, the freedom to breathe in an otherwise constrictive, suffocating world. Now, there's also a boy named Aman that Xiomara has been seeing secretly. Now, it's worth mentioning that dating of any kind is a huge no-no, until she's in college, I believe her mother says. Her mother has a very low opinion of men in general, for which we learn the reason as the novel progresses. So, Xiomara's English teacher invites and urges her to join the school's slam poetry club, which she wants to do more than anything, but she knows that this is something to which her mother would never agree to, and would no doubt severely punish her if she found out about it. But regardless of her fear, Xiomara takes the step and joins the club, and skips her confirmation classes to do so. So it's through this club that Xiomara expresses a whole new level of freedom. But of course the question is, how long can she keep it up without her mother finding out? Of course, Xiomara is unable to hide who she is indefinitely, and it's no surprise that it all coalesces into a gigantic explosion at the end. So on to what I liked about the book. Well, first of all, I loved Xiomara's teacher. She really struck a chord with me because I had a similar teacher when I was in high school who encouraged and urged me to pursue writing. In fact, I even had an extra assignment that I had to do every week. I had to keep a writing journal and turn it into her at the end of every week. And I think that I was the only one in the class who had this extracurricular work to do. I really can't underestimate the importance of teachers like this who encourage you when others don't. So it's because of this teacher that Xiomara dared to take that frightening first step. Now, the story is told from Xiomara's perspective, so we get a peek into what's really going on into her head. Though to the world she shows only her tough exterior, we see from her writing instead a confused and vulnerable girl with at times raging emotions as she pours her heart into her poetry. And she uses her writing to figure out what she wants and how she fits into her world. I also found Xiomara's characters so relatable, even if you don't necessarily come from a home with strict religious parents. Because of that sense of not belonging or insecurity, those are feelings that all of us have experienced at one time or another. I especially liked the strength and conviction she exhibited even when faced with what seemed like insurmountable obstacles, such as her mother forcing her to obey the laws of the church, or the blatant sexism and harassment she underwent at school. So through her writing, we see Xiomara's views on body image, body shaming, religion, sexuality, family, womanhood, sexism, and abuse, all very intense but important topics. I also loved how, via her inner strength, she moves past her mother's rules and abuse and begins to explore her sexuality and learns to understand that her feelings toward Armand are not wrong, wicked, evil, or sinful. This story is a phenomenal exploration of a young girl who, though constantly told that she's not feminine enough, not devout enough, not good enough, moves past these judgments to a place of pride at who she is. An admirable positive message to any young person who might be facing similar judgments in their lives. So, on to what I didn't like about the book. You know, I'm hard-pressed to come up with anything I didn't particularly like about this novel. I would have loved to learn a little bit more about Twin and about his and Xiomara's relationship. Because the novel is recounted through Xiomara's singular perspective, the other characters weren't quite as developed as they could have been. I would have also enjoyed learning about her mother's past and what events brought her to this point of this religious extremism. This was touched on a bit during the book, but a little bit more detail would have been welcome. But I will say my one real niggle with the book was in Xavier's portrayal, her brother. He is gay, and in the novel he's portrayed as timid, shy, unable and unwilling to fight his own battles. In fact, his sister has to step in and fight his battles for him. You know, these type of stereotypes, they typically bother me in stories where the gay person is portrayed as weak or emasculated. Though I do understand that this was a device used to illustrate Xiomara's assertive nature, I wish the author could have done so in a different way without resorting to these negative gay stereotypes. But that was really the only problem I had with the book. So, the final verdict. I was completely blown away by this novel, so much so that I ended up devouring it in one day. It's a powerful, revelatory, and sometimes raw coming-of-age story with a courageous and admirable main character. Child abuse is one of those subjects that I especially struggle with, so I found parts of this novel difficult to read, similar to my experience when reading The Dangerous Art of Blending In, another book that I read recently. But though The Poet X is heartbreaking and raw in places, it's ultimately hopeful and positive as compromise is reached. You know, I really wish that I would have had a book like this to read when I was a teen. So in summary, this is a touching, emotional, spellbinding story of survival and of triumphing to become one's authentic self. And I really recommend it, even if you're one of those people who typically doesn't go for poetry, because I'm not a poetry type of person either, and I absolutely love this book, and I love this style of writing. So, of course, I ended up giving it 5 stars. And now that is it for my review of The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Have you read this book? If so, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. And that is it for this video. As always, I thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of your support. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.